Well, in a couple of days, I apologize to the tape people of the future. Uh, Last one kind of got a little heavy, but let's just get right back into where we were. So me and Maddie had fallen asleep in the attic and just kind of slept through the heaviest part of the hurricane. Came through, the water came up. I don't remember or even saw how big it was. Uh, we woke up the next morning relatively early. Sun was starting to come through. It was warming up a little bit. I mean, it was already warm, but uh, nobody ever poked their head up. Nobody ever came in. Climbed down that rickety ass ladder. Hope for the best. The place was just nasty. If you've ever been around in a flood, man, it was still like ankle deep and mud everywhere. And in a flood like that, man, it's like there's mud and sewage and fuel and salt water and gross, and it's just not great. So, without a word, we climbed down and carefully came out and went out the back door. Went to kind of went around, couldn't see anybody, didn't hear anybody else. So we started walking back. We had like 4 miles to get back to the thing. Like we didn't make it very far before the hurricane hit. And it was still occasionally raining pretty good, but not like torrential. Like this was the back end of it, so it was mostly wind, a little bit of rain. So we walked in, and it didn't last long where I could hear something over it. It was gunfire, so it was. I couldn't tell at first. I was like, what the hell is that? Right? I just figured trees breaking or some kind of weird noise or whatever. The closer we got, the stronger it got. So we got within about a mile or so of where we're going, I guess. I don't remember a lot of the route we went just because I just kind of remembered it. But we didn't say anything. Like I said, I didn't really speak Spanish. She didn't really speak a lot of English, so we just walked slow, right? And I'm still looking. Radio still hasn't done anything, so I have no idea what happened there. And we get close, and I can hear these noises, these gunshots going off. Just sudden crack, pow, out in the distance. And so we moved from the main road to like house to house, just kind of walking through the yards and ducking behind the little bushes and stuff where we were, where you could just stand out like we're just walking down the road. Didn't see anybody, but we got close. We heard somebody coming down the road. We kind of ducked down behind some bushes and there's part of a tree that kind of fell over. And we could see 3 guys in some kind of weird, like, gray camouflage uniform, right? They all got patches I don't recognize or whatever. I think it's just all ducked down. And they're walking and they're talking to each other, but I can't really hear what they're saying. They're walking and they're coming by and they kind of glance around, but they don't see us. It's not like they're trying to pay attention. They're carrying rifles. I don't recognize any of them. I'm not like a big gun knife, so couldn't see it. And they just kept going. So I was like, well, maybe it's like, the state guard or national guard or something, but I don't recognize those guys, and that's not an American flag. Maybe it's a local territorial one or something, right? And then, we get about 20, 30 yards down the road, and then I hear another shot, and I hear them stop, kind of giggle and keep walking. What in the shit is going on? So, Marty didn't want to get out there at all, so we slowly walk around the corner, and I'm getting close to the spot where we parked. Like, we're not at the barn, where our stuff was. I was hoping some of our people would still be there. I don't know if they heard out the rode out the hurricane or what, but where the big stop was where we we're in a parking lot, and that's where we had a little pop-up, and you could see that the hurricane just kind of tore it up, and it was the worst part of it, And we got closer and heard somebody say something loud, and then another shot. I got close enough. Marty ducked back around the corner and went back the other way, just back around this last building at the corner, and I could see that there was a small pile of, there were people, but they're all in like high-vis vests and stuff. It was most of our older people. It was part of our volunteer group, and it was guys in these fucking uniforms, just bringing them out, yelling at them, and then shooting them. Apparently, they were just dropping these people. There was a couple of them, and I recognized one or two of them, and they were our people. They were our medical people, and they had pulled them to one side, and it looked, from what it looked like, is they were pulling out the medical people who were still working on some people that were hurt, a lot of their guys in their camo, and we're just getting rid of the old people that we couldn't do anything with or weren't helpful. There's a couple of them that are disabled, and they had just been executed. It was crazy. But there had been 20 of these bastards. Like there, we'd already saw a little patrol of them. And there was 20 of these guys. And I just had the one gun with like 8 rounds, man. So, I get that die-hard thing. It's like, why don't you do anything? Because then I'd be fucking dead too, asshole. So, I had to go find out, like, who the hell were these people? Like, were they, militia? Were these fucking terrorists or some shit? Was this an actual invading group? And it was, but I didn't find that out until later. So I snuck back to where I thought Nutty was hiding, and she was gone. She split, man. She absolutely left. She left. I didn't want to open my mouth and ask where she was or say anything else. She's gone. So I tried to move around, get away from these guys. I had to play some, hide and seek with these idiots. I had enough bullets to deal with the original 3 guys that I'd come across if I was going to ambush them or something, but who knows how many other groups are out there. So I kept my mouth shut. I stayed hidden as best I could. I wanted to get back to where my vehicle was parked, back over at the barn, see if it got flooded, if it got moved. It was slightly elevated, so who knows. But I ended up staying until it was dark. I just ducked in the house, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. The radio was all but dead, I couldn't even turn it on, and who would I talk to? The people that are getting shot. There were a couple more, there were more shots for the next, 30 minutes or so. And then it got quiet. I heard yelling in the distance. I still couldn't understand what the hell they were saying, but I just stayed hidden in the house, hoping that they wouldn't come running in. Ate what little was left in my bag. Really stupid. I was getting granola bar. Stuff was half soggy anyway. And just hid out, man. Best I could do. Waited until it got dark, and I was trying to remember my way around. I couldn't really remember it, but it was only a few blocks. But by the time I got out dark that night, they were gone. The bodies were still there. There wasn't much I could do for them. Some of them were some very close acquaintances of mine, a friend of mine. They were there. But everybody else and all the equipment that was useful and all the supplies were gone. So I had to try to figure out what the hell was going on. So I'm trying to duck out. My phone didn't work. The power was there. It's just the internet is completely gone. So the power goes out, all that stuff goes out. So ducked around, made it back, and all the vehicles had been flooded and squashed and just horrible with the flood and the rain and the people. So there were a bunch of them missing. A lot of them had been picked up and turned sideways by the storm. So my vehicle, I had to make it somewhere. I had to make a plan to get the hell out of there. So where do you go? Something like that. This is fucking horrible, man. This is. It took me a couple of days to get this up to talk about it, but to leave that, to try to get into the idea of helping. That's something that we've always done in ours, is how to try to be better, how to help as many people as we can. So do I get back to my house, try to find what friends I have, family I have left, try to find, our military or any kind of law enforcement, emergency management stuff. I had no idea. No radios, no nothing. I was surrounded by swamped houses and bodies. So I made a decision to try to make it back towards my house and see if I could find anybody along the way, if I could find some kind of communication. But the place, either everybody was underground and not answering, or it was just gone. So I had to get on the road and keep moving. Okay, let's try this. I got it all roped up. Let's get it, see if it'll run. And I've tied this all up. So, out here, by the edge of the road, man, we gotta run and see if we can find some food or something somewhere. We're getting a little close. It's not like we can just stop into the stores. It's been a year, right? So, let's get out here and get to walking. So it's not, now it's like mostly all the houses are abandoned, so you can go door to door, but it's still Texas. You don't know which ones are occupied, unless there's a lunatic with a gun yelling you that that's their house and get the hell off the property. Uh, like back then, that was like 2 days after the storm, so most of them were abandoned just because people were gone. I was hoping that they were gone, that it wasn't just because, they got taken or shot like the volunteers had. So, I had to make it back home, but I needed to find some food. I just didn't have anything on me. So, loaded up and just started north from here, right? Like, I knew the biggest issue. Sorry, I've been having a hell of a time with allergies. It's still summer in Texas, and there's just no antihistamines unless you're lucky. So, just headed north, but I knew the biggest issue was going to be the bridge, the big suspension bridge, the Fred Hartman Bridge. To get over to my house, I could go all the way around the bay, but that was going to take an extra like 2 days, dude. That's crazy, just on foot. Maybe I could do it at like night, and hopefully like nobody's holding it, trying to use it like it's whole bridge or whatever the hell it was at the time, or the government or whoever the hell these people were holding it up. We just hope for that, right? And then so I started north. I didn't go down 146 like the main drag because it's like occupied. I could hear cars occasionally, but they weren't like heavy things. You expected to be a lot of cars, people coming back from the evacuation and that kind of stuff, but there weren't. Every now and then you'd hear one. You could hear people occasionally. As I'm walking past some of the houses, you can see like the little blinds and stuff, but I'm not gonna try to go get shot. If I went past one where you could tell it had been flooded, doors were blown open, and it didn't sound like anybody's in there, I'd go in and check, see if there was anything easy to grab, water, any of that kind of stuff, because the power was out, so the fridges were out, so there was nothing you really trust in there unless it's sealed. Like, I check them if there was like a bottle of something or a can of something like a Coke or whatever, grab that. Let's see if there's any non-perishables or anything, and there were some, but it was few and far between. A lot of stuff was very torn up. So I don't know if there's like dogs or rats or people or other looters like me, just the storm, I don't know. So I was making it, and I was going down like these back roads, down by Toddville, and there's a lot of these houses that are up on stilts now, because I'm down there by the water, and so I didn't want to risk going up any of those or having it fall over. My luck, I'd live through the rest of this crap and then have the house fall on me as I try to go up the stairs. So I started making my way north, just trying to be inconspicuous, like I'm down the road. If you see me, I want you to think I'm not sneaking up on you, but I'm definitely trying to sneak down the road and not call attention to myself, kind of deal. And these back roads didn't get a lot of traffic. If I hear something that sounds like it's coming, man, I just into the ditch, dive, go across, and try to hide behind a tree or in somebody's little fence, whatever. But there was only like 2 in like the first 3 hours. I just didn't see any, so I just kept going, trying to go north as best as I could remember it. These roads are not great, especially after our hurricane. There was floods. Half the roads are washed out, have trees and shit laying across them just everywhere. But usually, by this time, there's like rescue, emergency people, chainsaw guys, good old boys with chainsaws want to get out and start cutting this stuff up. And that's what baffled me about these guys in the uniforms that were killing my people. Like, I had seen no first responders. I had seen no law enforcement. I had seen none of our soldiers or our military or anything. I think of it, I hadn't heard any, like, planes or helicopters or anything, which is, after a hurricane, they're all over the place. Or usually, I didn't know what the hell was going on. So, I just felt weirdly abandoned for something that was so populated, 3 days ago. So, headed north, and I was going to have to get close up to the main road once I got a little further north, right? So, we get over by the bridge, it gets all industrial, so you can't go on these back roads. It's all gated and fenced, and $1 million people with the oil and gas will have lunatics with guns, so I wasn't going to risk that. So I made it north over Fairmont Way or whatever, and the gas station over there was kicked in, and it was just abandoned, but it was just wrecked, like it had been looted in the night, man. And I expected some people to be in there, but most everything was gone. I was able to grab a bottle of water. There were two other guys there, came stumbling up while I was in there, scared the shit out of me. I was like, oh, dude, guess what? I got my little pistol. And they were just there trying to grab smushed Twinkies and shit. Like, we raided what we could, put it with little stuff we had in the bags, and I got like some trail mix and stuff, and we kept going. But, the guy's names was Jason and Steven. Jason and Steve. They were also traveling. Jason was trying to get back to like Beaumont area, back where he's from. He was over here trying to help do something down the island, I think. And Steve was just traveling. He didn't want to be where he was. He didn't talk a lot. I didn't know what happened. So we started talking. I didn't just want to tell him what was going on. I was hoping to they tell me what they knew as we were going, right? So they said beforehand they had heard something on their phone, on their on the internet, about there being reports of people skydiving, like paratroops, or could have been satellites going out, possible ships just moving like a day before. And I was like, I remember hearing something about ships, but who the hell knows anything about that? And it was this whole big mess. But we kind of decided to stay together for a little while, like, because we seem to be cool, but you can't trust these guys. So I was keeping one eye on them, staying off to the right, almost in the ditch, walking at a weird angle because my ankle was turning every other step, at least my right one, because we're going down this ditch. But they had the same idea, man. We heard a big truck coming, a big diesel thing coming. It was going northbound. We slid down the ditch, got down at the bottom, and just kind of hid under whatever. There was like some piled up plywood and pieces of bullshit and sticks. Just trying to think flotsam, you're flotsam, we're flotsam. And he didn't see us or didn't care. And just drove past. One of them said it was like a deuce and a half, one of those big military trucks or whatever. And Jason wanted to stand up, and I got my flag down him. I said no, so I had to whisper and tell him, like, dude, who are the military guys are? They just killed the shit out of them with volunteers and all that kind of stuff. And first they didn't believe me, and they're just like, what the shit? So they just stayed down there. Truck slowed down, but it didn't stop. It kept going, and we kept trying to go north. Man, so it was like midday, so we're heading that way, but we could see there was a little group of people, like the exit before the bridge. They were there, that they were stopping traffic or cutting off traffic there. So we kind of slid down, got in our little ditch over by where all the big container, the ship containers, the truck containers were all piled up. Some of them were kind of knocked over because the storm's kind of rough, but not anything out by us. We just kind of stood down there and just got up against the fence as close as we could and just pretended to be flotsam for the rest of the day. And we were sweating. Like, if they look over here, we're done. About halfway through the day, there was a couple of jets flew over going the other way. I don't know anything about planes, so I couldn't tell either way. Guys, it was weird because as a talkative person as I am, I was expecting conversation with these guys. And I just didn't get it as much as I thought I was going to. I didn't talk. We just kind of sat. Like, I told them about all that kind of stuff. They asked a couple of questions, but I didn't go any further. And it looked like the same military uniforms on these guys with their two trucks down there parked at the exit. But I'm sure as hell, right about dark, about 20 minutes till, we're like, we're going to have to sneak around and we're going to do something. They loaded up in their truck and they took off. I don't know if they got a radio call or they knew something was up or whatever. So we decided to bolt and go try to run across this giant ass bridge, and I am not in the best shape, and I gotta run up this damn very steep incline on this bridge. But we started up it, man. Nobody was there. The lights weren't on, which is weird because it's usually an emergency thing, but the lights were out. Just run up this bridge in the dark. I just knew we were gonna crest it and get to the top and look down and just see a whole army of these guys. Okay, well, that house was a flop. Let's get back to it. Uh, you know what? It's weird. I think I've been past this house at least 4 or 5 different times. I've checked it every time, and it's always empty. But everything just kind of blurs together now, you know. But so we're okay. So we were headed up the bridge at dark. Yeah, the military guys had left like right at dark. I don't know what the hell was going on. So we're going up this thing, man. My search and rescue boots were not made for like a lot of different days of wear. Like it's just horrible planning on my part. So they were already starting to wear blisters on me. So I was walking slow, and me and these other two guys are heading up there, and we're just relatively doing it quiet. It is so weird how it went from just devastation, emergency to normal. Like we just fell in. It's like, yeah, everybody's missing or locked away, and then there's this military thing going on, and nobody's got whatever. I always expected, to be panic in the streets, like a Godzilla movie. People running and screaming down the road, ah! But I think, for the most part, it was because of the hurricane had everybody evacuated. I'm sure the rest of the world was coming unglued, and the military was coming to save us and whatever, but we just didn't see it. We're down here by the coast, man, so either we're the closest to the invasion from the water, but furthest away from salvation from the land. So, well, it was weird because I didn't really know these two guys. I think they kind of knew each other or knew of each other, whatever. But we just kind of walked in silence after down here. Like we'd spent most of the day kind of chit-chatting back and forth quietly, hidden in the trees next to the fence, waiting for these guys to leave or come and get us or what the hell we was planning. And, try to sneak over in the dark, I guess. But, we just trudged up this thing. And then this side was of the bridge was really, there's no cars, I was expecting, again, zombie apocalypse movies, man. Cars just jammed everywhere and packed up and, on fire and whatever, and there was just nothing. It was empty. Like, even after Hurricane Ike, man, trying to get back to the island, there was, trash and boats and shit flooded up on the streets. I expected something on the bridge. This is like a main thoroughfare out to I-10, So, we just went up it. Now, the bridge itself kind of slopes up and to the right, and then it's kind of flat across the top, and then slopes down and to the right a bit. So as we're going up, we're walking up, the northbound side, or the eastbound side, I guess, kind of going up and to the right, so we're, following traffic. There's no traffic, that's where we would be. And light catches my eyes. Like, it is dark outside, but off to the right, I can see a tanker. Like, I used to work as a shipping agent, man, and there is a ship coming in. It had to have a pilot, because we don't just, the ship captains don't just pull them in here. It's coming into the port, and it's the only thing lit. It is like this moving beacon that is coming towards us. It had to be about 2 miles down. It's, coming into the port of Houston. It's down there a bit, it's coming through the bay, coming at us. And, we all noticed, and we stopped and looked, and we're like, well, holy hell, okay, so civilization is still going. It is obviously not a battleship of some kind or a landing thing, as Jason pointed out. He's like, it could be military. I was like, dude, that is a tanker. That's what's a tanker's coming in here. And then as we're going, it is just a whisper in the distance. You can hear there's some of that background noise going on. The plants have still got to be going on the other side of the bridge, but you can hear that big chug of that tanker just coming across the wind. It's breezy and it's up there. The rain's still trying to come back and get us. I don't know if the hurricane's coming back to sit on top of us like Harvey did, or if a new one's coming, or if it's just another rain pan coming behind it. But you can see it off in the distance, even in the dark. This wall of black, because there's no stars coming that way. And coming out of that wall is this tanker, man. And we're like, well, damn, okay. You can just tell it's like we're not suddenly in the Stone Age, right? We all took kind of a deep breath, and then there was another sound just right on top of it. Just a scream. Must have been what it sounded like when the first one launched in the 40s, man. A jet. Like, we could hear it, and we're like, oh, shit, okay, so there's still civilization. And this thing, but it's coming low. Like, I've only ever heard of it, like, air shows and shit, and it is coming fast. And I was like, well, damn, all right, maybe it's letting us know what's going on. This like civilization's okay. You can come outside or whatever. And it gets within about a quarter mile, and that fucking tanker just explodes. Just the top of it just rips open. Giant fireball. Like I said, it's still like a mile and a half out, and lights us up on the bridge. We're like, holy shit! We all scream, holy shit! Two of us hit the ground. It was some kind of military, and it blew the fucking tanker up. Like, and this tanker, caught in the middle. It kind of keeled over to one side a little bit, but it's still going forward. But it is burning giant fireball shit. I grew up next to Texas City, man, so I'm already terrified. I'm on a bridge, a suspension bridge of all things, and here's this flaming fireball of a tanker coming at us. Not very quickly. It's not like hauling ass. This isn't speed, and it's on fire and it blew up, so it is definitely slowing down and it's listing to the right. But we just watch it. Like, we should have ran to get away from it. Like I said, Texas City, I know if it gets next to anything else, it'll blow up and just take out everything. But we can't help but watch it. The jet doesn't come back. It doesn't circle back or whatever. And I always thought we had the further than sight weapons. So it was just fire and you just hear a missile. But this guy, that game was like on a bombing run. What the fuck was that about? And we sit there and watch. No, on the south side of the bridge, there's this little thing of land. I've never understood what the hell it was, but it's just wide. It's like a dike that goes out to a point and comes back. I think it's a breakwater to divide the ship into two different, or the bridge into two different lanes, shipping lanes. But it's just wide enough for like a truck to drive down their back. You couldn't put two abreast across it, right? It's just this little spit. It's like a little dike of land that goes out there. And we watched this, and thing slowly tilted over, and just bottomed out and fell over and stopped at that little spit of land at that little point. Just fell over. And, the little orange thing had launched out the back, so I guess some of the crew got out, but, some of them had to get blown up and whatever the hell that was. But it was crazy, so it was weird because we went from this, holy crap, the end of the world is here, to, things are normal, maybe it was just overhyped and we're just caught out here, been a couple of days without proper rest, that kind of stuff, to throw us right back into the depths of what in the hell is going on. So we turned around and headed back up. Now, as we got to the top of the bridge, we started noticing, the only light was from this far side of the berm of the bridge, the edge of the bridge. So it was very dark and shadowed where we were. But even through that little bit of reflected light from that, we could see that there was shiny stuff on the ground. And as we got closer and got up on it, it was empty brass. It was bullet casings, bullet shells. And as we got further and further across, there was more and more, like there was something that happened up here. But it was relatively cleaned up, even though I know every cop and military guy knows the police are brass. So, what the hell happened? Running gunfight maybe, but there was no people, there was no, there was no bodies, there was no cars, we couldn't figure it out. We kind of got to the top of the bridge, we kind of crested and flattened out, and we could see to the northeast that the plants were still going, but over there, man, the flares were kicking in the distance. Now, if you know anything about the plants, they don't just have the flares just steady. And that's, my dad used to laugh, like, when the flare was going steady like that, somebody screwed up. Like, the EPA makes it where it's got to flare out and burst, right? So you can't just steady burn, because that's bad for the environment, right? But when it has to do that, like if there's an emergency and they need to flush the lines, or they're shut down, they just burn off the regular stuff, it just burns, they're willing to pay that extra money, and just let it run. And there was at least 3 in the distance that were just going nuts. A lot of the plants didn't have lights on, which is weird because most of them have their own generators and things in them. But you could see there was still some life in some of it, and the fires were going. And it was so weird. And I'm like, well, that's still here. There's still other people. It's not like we're the last 3 Omega Man type thing, right? We're just, holy shit. So we just come back down, but down at the bottom of the bridge, we could see what happened. This is what I was talking about. This is a trope for a reason. There was just the cars were just piled the hell up on the inbound side, on the other side of the road. We were going down the right-hand side, left-hand side. It was like it hit an invisible wall, and they had just piled up. Burned out shells of cars, but everything was still waterlogged. So